Hello, everybody. Hello. Merry Christmas, I guess, if you celebrate Christmas. This is the advice stream. I am your host, Jeremy International. Thank you for joining in. I'm still got some buttons to push. But hello, everyone. It's been a while. I haven't been around for a bit, but I'm back. I hope you miss me, but not so much that you couldn't sleep at night or whatever. This is the advice stream. This is the show where we dish out advice. If you have a dilemma, if you have a problem, if you find yourself to be in a little bit of a situation, then you can send us a message, and me and my guest, which I'll get into in just a minute, will be able to discuss maybe some options for you. I think I'm pretty well credentialed in giving advice. I'm not gonna say that I'm old, but I'm certainly not young, and I've been around a couple times, so I bet I can help you. Maybe not on financial stuff, but you never know. If you have a financial question, ask, and I'll do my best. Hey, Amir. Um, Merry Christmas to you too. I don't personally celebrate Christmas, but I am married today, so I'll take it. That is my plan for the day, was to be merry, and I guess I was a version of merry, close enough. I hope that you as well are having a great day. If you're out there and you're new to the stream, or a returning audience person, then go ahead and say hi. I'd love to hear from you. Just for a little bit of a recap, Amir is asking if I celebrate something else in December. I do. I'd say in December I do a light Hanukkah. I do a light Hanukkah. Not a lot of gifts, but candles and fried food. Um, so that's what I do in December sometimes. I'm a secular person, and identify as more or less an atheist, I guess. But there's some traditions that are nice, I guess, for people to have. So our special guest for today has been our guest pretty regularly for a while, and we haven't done a show in a while, but he was a pretty regular guest when we were, and he's back to join us today, and that's going to be Oldman. Hang on, I don't have a screen up here for Oldman to join us. Let me take care of that real fast. Real double fast. Super fast. Hey, Oldman, you're probably still muted. Hang on, I'm going to unmute you. There. And wait, you're still muted. How about now?
Honk honk, I'm Jeremy's clown.
Honk honk. Honk honk, everybody. Do we allow honks on the advice stream? I guess we can honk a couple times. Let's not go too crazy with the honks though. People
I
don't
won't.
like people don't like too many honks, but I think a few honks are fine.
You saw how serious I got after those two honks, so.
Right, this is a very serious show. How have you been? How have you been, Oldman? It's been a while.
Well, unlike yourself, I'm not Jewish, and I'm
Ethnically.
also not Christian.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I have spent this Christmas alone for the very first time.
How was that? What was that like? I've definitely had, I mean, Hanukkah's 8 days, so it's hard to do all of Hanukkah alone. But I feel like I've probably done that once or twice in my life, maybe.
It was fine. Last night, my neighbors had a Christmas Eve party until 5 in the morning. So I guess that's actually a Christmas party at that point. Um,
It's both. They did both.
Yeah, and I did not wake up until like 11:30.
Did you go to this party that your neighbors had until 5 in the
I
morning, or were you
wish.
like drafted into it because it was loud?
No. I was trying to sleep,
Oh.
and everybody else was by that point too.
And like you can't go and say no, you have to be quiet because it's Christmas.
Right. I don't want to rain on the holly jolly.
Yeah. I this is one of those things. Maybe this will come up later in the show. This is one of those things that I find as a non-Christmas celebrator that I should mention. from time to time is for people that don't celebrate Christmas. Christmas is so exhausting because it is so everywhere. It permeates every part of our society for like 2 months, and and no one ever assumes, regardless of what your name is or what they know about you, everyone assumes that you celebrate Christmas. And sometimes people even give you a lecture. Oh yeah, I know, but it's not a religious holiday, so you should do it anyways. Like they try to
No.
talk you into doing Christmas,
Mhm.
and it's exhausting. To be honest,
It's
it's
qu-
no fun.
it's quite exhausting, even for people who are religious,
Yeah, yeah.
or especially if they're secular.
We have a question that we'll get into later today that um, is just one of those like, then why are you why are you doing this? Because you don't seem to be having fun and no one's happy. But you know, people tradition is hard to break from,
Not
for
for
sure.
me.
Well, it is for me. Amir in the chat says I never considered before, but it's true. It can be alienating for people who don't celebrate it. I mean, you know, like it's totally fine to be alienated in some sorts, or at least like kind of feel left out. Like I could celebrate Christmas if I wanted to. I don't want to, for a million reasons that are my own. It's just that it goes on for so long. It really is like over a month these days. That Christmas is just everywhere all the time, and
Hmm.
that to me is the exhausting part. If it was like a weekend, like sometimes a friend of yours has a birthday party and what for whatever reason you can't go, and that sucks, and you feel bummed and left out. But then it's the weekend, and then it's over, and you go back to your life. But this is like week after week after week, Christmas, 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 and it's a bummer. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, I worked at a zoo. It was my after school job, and the zoo was closed on Christmas, but all the animals had to eat and be taken care of and everything. So I'd go in. I was the only one that didn't have anything to do for Christmas, so I'd always go in and work all day on Christmas, and it was so great because I felt like I was just around these animals. I was isolated from Christmas. I didn't hear any of the music. I didn't see anything on TV, and back then TV was more a part of people's lives than I think it is now. And it was just it was so nice to kind of be in this like isolation chamber. uh, Sometimes I wish I could still do that. But anyway, so yeah, but it also makes me happy that people are happy, and there's not a lot of happy people in the world today. And if Christmas is one of those things that make you happy, and it's a cause for celebration, whether you're religious or not, and giving things to people is always a good impulse we should all embrace, then that's great. And I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum on Christmas. It's just, sometimes for those that celebrate it, just remember us that don't, and give us a little bit, give us a little bit of a break every once in a while.
I can yuck people's yum on Christmas through other channels, but this channel is focused on the positive side of things.
That is true. Thank you, Oldman, for saying that. The advice stream, by the way, I don't know if I've done the full intro here. This is the advice stream. I'm your host, Jeremy International. I am joined today by Oldman. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, as well as JeremyInternational.com. If you would like to seek advice by me, your old pal, Jeremy International, then you can head on over to JeremyInternational.com, spelled just like it sounds. And there's a contact form there where you can submit a question. If you want to, you can also just throw it into the chat. It won't be anonymous, or at least it'll be tied to your screen name. And if that's what you prefer to do, then that is also fine. But we'll get into it. We'll discuss as a community your dilemma, and hopefully we'll get some clarity to what is bothering you. The main draw for the show tonight is we did this on our last show, which was like over a month ago now. But I've got my original PlayStation here connected to my computer, and we're gonna pick up where we left off on the original Silent Hill, which is a very scary and stressful game, and I don't know why I'm decided to continue to play it. It's from 1999, so that's almost 25 years old. Jeez. That might be older than some of the people listening at home.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, old man, I'm quite positive. The scene on Twitch tends to skew a little young. All the olds tend to be on Facebook, and as usual, no one is on Facebook. One of these days, I just won't stream there anymore because no one ever watches. We got a few folks over on the YouTubes, though. If you're streaming on YouTube, you should say hi. If you're streaming anywhere, you should say hi. Hey, it's Jugsy. Jugsy says, "Sorry, I'm late. Hello. How are you? Good, thanks." I'm doing good, Jugsy. We haven't streamed for a little bit more than a month. There's been a lot going on in my personal life. Probably mentioned on a previous show that I sometimes have some health issues that were sneaking up on me, so I wasn't really feeling up for streaming for a little while, but I feel pretty good today, and that's why we're back. So, should we? What do you think we should do? Should we jump into Silent Hill, or should we do a question first? I got a couple. What do you
If
think, old
if
man?
we have a choice, if we really have a choice, let's start with the question.
Let's start with a question. Why not? I got a lot. We haven't been around for a while, so I got a little bit of a backlog. Let's start with a question, and I'm gonna start, if you don't mind, with a little bit of a longer one, just because the longer questions stress me out, and I want to get it out of the way. But it's a good one. Here we go. Okay. I am 24 years old and have come to a crossroads in my life and relationship. My boyfriend and I have been dating for a year and a half. To be honest, I've been unsure of our relationship in the past, but we've recently reached such a good, comfortable place. I think we may even be in love. Good for you. He is respectful and trustworthy. We are both musicians. We hardly fight and enjoy the same things, but still challenge each other. Most of the boxes are checked off except for one. I want to move away from our hometown and give my dream a shot while he wants to stay put. I know he's the more responsible one, but I also know that if I compromise my life for a man, I may regret it down the line. I explained this to him a few months ago, and he decided to enjoy our remaining time together before we pulled out separate ways. He doesn't want to do long distance, which is understandable. An opportunity recently arose for me to move to California in the upcoming year with my friends to room with, so I started planning and had my mind set while still wishing in the back of my mind that things would work out between us. However, I knew I couldn't stay for him because I felt that there was no way I could move forward with my life staying in the same place. We live in the smallest city shy of opportunity or excitement. I live with my parents, work at my family's restaurant, and have a degree I don't use. I feel stuck here, though I love my hometown and family. I've lived here all my life and feel I have overstayed my welcome. He lives with his parents too, but has started his career. He has a long term plan to save enough money, invest, buy a house, be financially stable, etc. I think that's admirable of him, and it also makes me feel ashamed of wanting to give myself a shot somewhere new. Still, my mind is made up to move and face the consequences. That was until a few days ago. See, I was telling you, this is a long question. When he asked me to move in with him in a 2-bedroom apartment somewhere in Texas. I was completely caught off guard. I could picture a future with this guy, a comfortable little life for us, but now I'm left wondering if I should accept his offer over the opportunity I had set in my mind. If he's willing to compromise, should I be too? It's not exactly where I had in mind, but at least it's something. Will I be filled with regret down the line? Will I regret sacrificing my relationship for a hopeless, silly little dream? Will I regret compromising my dream for my relationship? I have no idea what to do. It feels like either way, I lose. Because that's a long one, I'll paraphrase. 24-year-old person's been dating a person for a year and a half. They weren't sure about them, but now they really are. They want to move out of their small town. He wants to stay. He offered to move to Texas, the letter writer has plans to move to California. What do you think? What do you think about that one, Oldman? How are you feeling about it?
I think there's a lot of subtext to it that has not been written down, for one thing.
Okay.
And these are young people.
Yeah.
24 years old is the letter writer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't want to be really negative, but I gotta say, like, here's what I think about this situation. If I'm just gonna fill in the details, she wants to move away.
Yeah.
He doesn't want. He already said he doesn't want to move away,
Yeah.
and he was getting ready to say goodbye to this whole relationship, and then suddenly he wants to move to Texas in a situation that is not her favorite.
Yeah.
And okay, I don't want to make up anything, but it sounds to me, and I have to say this, I'm sorry. It sounds to me like this guy had his eye on somebody else.
Oh
And
wow, I didn't see that at
it
all.
didn't work out. It didn't work out. She was not as responsive as he thought she might
So
be.
you think the subtext here, his boyfriend was ready to be like, so long, I'm gonna go fuck somebody else.
He
And
said
then,
that, basically.
well, he didn't say
according
he
to
had
what I-
somebody else, but then when
He
the somebody
said
else
that
didn't
he was
work out,
gonna
he's like,
stay
oh my
there.
god. Oh yeah,
It
he
was
said
gonna.
he
It was
stay.
ready to end. It was
Okay.
ready to end. He knew it was about to end, and then he decided, oh well, actually, let's move to Texas instead. That sounds to me like he had some expectation
Yeah. Wow.
that he realized wasn't so
Okay.
realistic.
I didn't see that level of subtext. But certainly the way that you phrased it makes sense. Maybe he wanted her to go because he was going to be with somebody else, and then somebody else didn't work out, and now he's willing to try harder to make it work with her. Is what you're trying to say?
I mean, this is a possibility.
Certainly, it's certainly a possibility. Um, my take on this, and as always, audience, please feel free to jump into the chat if you have any hot takes on this one. My first thought was when I read this, my first thought was, well, you're 24, so you should go and chase your dreams because you can afford to do that right now, and you won't be able to do it later. And once I realized that I had said that, then to me it seemed even more clear that that's what this person needs to do, because you only have the ability to pick up and invest in your future for so long. And when as you get older, you have more responsibilities, you have more debt, you have fewer options, and this is a rare opportunity for you to do it. It doesn't mean that you got to say goodbye to this guy forever. That maybe you commit to giving California a try for a set period of time, and if it doesn't work out, then you come back. That set period of time, by the way, should be a few years at least. But I would be really sad if this person gave up on chasing their dreams at really one of the only times in your life when you can, for another person that could be the greatest partner of their life, but could also get hit by a bus tomorrow, or realize, or to Oldman's point, unravel themselves to be a horrible person in a way that you're not expecting them to be.
They're 24, 25. I assume that the partner is in the same age range.
Yeah.
That could be wrong.
Investing, I feel like happiness is like like the stock market, in that you need to be wise about what you invest in. And if you invest too much in people, that's risky, because people change and people die. And people sometimes misrepresent themselves, even with the best of intentions. Sometimes people misrepresent themselves to themselves, so they can't be honest with you either. And when you're young and you have the ability to pack up and sleep on someone's couch in a big city and chase your dreams, you should be doing that. Everyone should be doing that. If you invest too heavily in another person, especially when you're young, you're cruising for a bruising, because things happen to other people. Even the best human being in the world could still get cancer or get shot in the mall or get whatever. The people come and go, and people die, and people end up not being who you think they are, and you need to be cautious about how much you invest. And as you get older, then you need to invest in people more, because then if you want something like a family, if you want stability, if you want the type of financial security that people need as they get older, but that no individual person can actually do on their own because of our economy, then that's different. But when you're young and you're free and you have few obligations, this is the time to invest in yourself. And man, I'd be real sad if I heard that this person gave up on their dreams to move in with this guy in Texas. I
Yeah.
chase your dreams. It might be a total failure. You know, you're a musician. Breaking it into the music business is really hard for anybody anywhere. Sometimes people do it, or at least sometimes people make a living, if not become like Taylor Swift or whatever. And you gotta try when you can, even if it's likely that you won't be successful, which is oftentimes people trying to get a job in the arts, is how their story goes.
I feel like that experience itself is worth something. It
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily have to lead to superstardom or anything like that. But if you're going to have that experience, do it in your early 20s.
yeah. Oldman, you ever see this movie called Four Rooms? You know that movie?
Yes, this was a decade ago that I saw it, though. So you might have to remind me what it's about.
It's a really good movie. It takes place on New Year's Eve. Tim Roth is a bellhop in like an old, used
Hmm.
to be fabulous, but now it's kind of decrepit hotel in Hollywood. And the structure of the movie is there's four rooms that he's waiting on, and the story in
Hmm.
each room is directed by a different film director. Robert Rodriguez does one. I can't remember anybody else that does one except the
Didn't
last.
Quentin Tarantino do one?
Yeah, so Quentin Tarantino did the last one. And
Yeah, that's what
without
I thought.
getting too much into the weeds, there's Tim Roth, the bellhop, comes up to Quentin Tarantino's room, and Quentin Tarantino is trying to get him to participate in this really big gamble, this really big bet, and Tim Roth doesn't want to do it. And Quentin Tarantino says to him that your life is made up of thousands of little tiny moments. And as you move through life, you forget almost all of them. There's very few of these little tiny moments that you actually remember. But every once in a while, something so intense or bizarre or unusual or beautiful or horrific happens, and you remember that moment for the rest of your life. And every once in a while, you know that that moment is happening right now. And this letter writer is in one of those moments. Your whole entire life is pivoting around this specific thing that you have to decide. Do you stay? Do you go? Do you go to Texas? Everything that follows in your life is going to change depending on that decision. So, do you want to remember this moment as a time when you played it safe and gave up on the things that you wanted for yourself so that you could be with another person that may or may not be part of your life in 2 years or 5 years or
Hmm.
10 years? Or do you want to take this opportunity to choose you and have this adventure and push yourself and see if you can do it? And if you don't, then you don't. And you come back. If this guy really loves you, first off, maybe he'll go to California with you. And if he doesn't, maybe he's willing to make it work for a couple of years. Although long distance for any period of time, I can say from firsthand experience, is very hard to do. But
Same.
this is one of those moments where you get to decide how you're going to remember it, and you will remember this forever. And how do you want to remember this moment? Do you want to remember it as committing to this guy? You know, like, I mean, guys are guys, right? I mean, you know, there's lots of people. There's lots of people around. There's lots of fish in the sea. I don't believe there's such a thing as like a soulmate. Jugsy says, I think it would be easier to reconnect with this dude later than resume your dream later. Absolutely, Jugsy. I'm with you 100%. Hey, we got a new chat over on Twitch from Lay.
A faker, a spammer who you need to ban.
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy. How do I ban these bojos? I thought it was a real person. I was excited to have a comment from a new
I know.
person.
Well, Jugsy also said that she was concerned, as I am, with the quick switch from "okay, fine, it's over" to "let's move to Texas together," and I think that's a very good point.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted here because I don't know how to ban someone. How do I remove a thing?
They probably won't continue spamming our chat, but
I
just
know, but I
we
don't
can
want to.
figure
I
it
don't
out
want to look
after.
at it. I'm angry. Here we go. Can I block? No,
There
report.
you go. Yeah, block will work. You can report too if you want.
I still see them there.
Yeah, you'll see their comment, but they
Okay,
are
yeah, I
not
see
going to
they're
be able
blocked.
to
Okay,
send
they won't be able.
anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Um, yeah, I'm with you there. Amir says "diebot," which is German for the robot, by the way.
Wow.
I don't know if
How
that's
do you
true.
know that?
I don't know. I'm making that up. Because they say
I
die
was
for
gonna
the.
say.
Um, I don't speak a lot of German. Um, yeah, I'm with you, Jugsy. The chasing your dream is a limited window thing, and finding love and partnership, um, uh, isn't. For under most circumstances. And she was even saying the letter writer. I don't know what their pronouns or what their gender is or whatever, but the letter writer said that they weren't even sure about this person until recently. So don't give
Mm-hmm.
up your life on a person you weren't even sure about.
And sure as fuck, don't move to. Sure as freak, don't move to Texas.
Yeah. I already said the F word once already by accident. You know,
It will happen.
the advice stream, we try to avoid swearing, but I'm 44 years old. I've been swearing for almost my whole life. It's not likely I'm just going to be able to stop, but I'll try. Okay. Let's get into some Silent Hill, yeah?
Yeah. And let's picture the Silent Hill characters that are pursuing you as this guy.
Yeah, every monster I have to shoot, I'm going to say, I'm not moving to Texas with you or
Exactly.
anybody. Okay, hold on. Now I gotta do a couple of things over here. Woo, that's loud.
Oh, I love that sound though. I
Yeah,
love
Oldman and
it.
I were talking about this before. I didn't have a PlayStation growing up, so this isn't like nostalgia for me. But so this is a recap. I know it's been a month. It's been a little while. So this is a recap of what's been going on. If I remember correctly, I'm some dude, and I was driving in the car with my daughter, who looks like she's like 6 or 7, if I remember. And I'm in an accident, and then she disappears, and I'm wandering around and trying to figure out where she is. But I also don't seem really stressed out about it. And there's a diner that I was in, and something was trying to get me, some kind of monster, and I, in real life, freaked out. And then something else happened, and I have a gun. And then I think where we saved it was some kind of flying monstrosity came into the diner, and I couldn't figure out how to shoot the gun. So if
Oh
anyone
no.
knows what the buttons do in Silent Hill, let me know. Oh, and one of the problems we had before is I didn't have a controller. Oh, where did it go? I didn't have a controller with a with analog on it, but I do now because I bought it, and it's clear. But
There you go.
I like clear. Clear plastic is almost as cool as glow in the dark plastic is.
When is Apple going to do that?
Apple used to make clear stuff a long time ago.
Yeah. Those the computers that everybody's colleges bought for them.
Yes, yes, the college computer. Um, oh, am I having technical difficulties? This is an original PlayStation. I hope that it will work. Okay, continue. Here we go. Oh, Jesus. I'm immediately regretting this because it was real scary. I have the sound turned pretty low. If anyone wants to hear more of the game audio, let me know. Is this the game?
Well, it looks like.
Oh no. The directions on the analog sticks are reversed. How do I fix that?
I was just looking up the controls here, and everything is for Silent Hill 2 and 3.
Oh God. Oh jeez. Oh boy. Jugsy says BTW Oldman audio is perfect today. You all sound that. I know we met early and we figured it out. Thanks for saying, Jugsy.
We had some issues last time.
We did. So bad news is I don't like this. The direction you push the stick on is not connected to the direction you're looking at. So like I want to walk towards the camera, so I'm pushing down, and that just makes me go backwards.
That's how those games work in the old days, my man.
know.
I'm sorry. You got to pretend like you're piloting a ship or something. A jet. Or
I see, this is the thing that's freaking me out. Why I'm so scared of this game is not only is it scary, but I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, Comrade Vibes 1984. Comrade Vibes 1984 says, "Hi, Dadman and Jeremy." I'm Jeremy. This is Dadman. Hello. For those joining us, it seems like our audience has been ticking up a little bit, so I just wanted to check in and remind everyone that you are watching the Advice Stream. I'm your host, Jeremy International. I am joined for this episode by Oldman. If you'd like to seek advice from me, your host, and Oldman, then you can go ahead over to JeremyInternational.com. There's a contact form there you can use. If you don't want to be anonymous or anything, then you can just throw a question in the chat, I guess, if you want to. But we are here to provide advice while we play old games. We are playing 1999's Silent Hill, the original, on an original PlayStation with an original controller. Jugsy says, might be talking nonsense, but some of them Bluetooth controllers have some combination you can press to invert the sticks. Yeah, and the problem, Jugsy, that's brilliant. And I bet you I can find a way to make that work. The problem is I'm playing on an original PlayStation that doesn't have any kind of Bluetooth, but I am sure that there is a receiver I could get to plug into it. And if you know anything about your old pal, Jeremy International, if there's some weird esoteric technology problem with an old video game system, I will find a way to fix it.
Let me butt in here and say that with some of these old games, and this one must be one of the original PlayStation games.
Yeah, it is.
You have to use the arrows, and they are going to be very awkward. I know that that's true with Tomb Raider. I don't know if it's true with this one, but I do know that this is one of the oldest ones.
Yeah,
for PlayStation 1.
I think that if I'm not navigating through a little tiny diner, then the sticks are going to work fine.
Yeah.
I know from last time we did this, the directional pad was not my friend.
Nothing was our friend last time, Jeremy.
That's fair. But on Jugsy's point, I bet I can get a receiver and get a modern controller that I can program. Except I don't want to flip them around. I want the sticks to point me in the direction that I'm pointing, and not in the direction that the character is facing.
And I don't know whether
Yeah,
it
that's
might
not an
not be
option.
possible. Yeah,
Mm-mm, yeah,
with a game this old where they hadn't even standardized that yet.
yeah. Um, I agree. I'll get used to it. I'm just in the meantime. I'm just gonna look like I'm drunk. Okay, so when I open the door is when the flying monstrosity comes in, and I don't know what I'm gonna what I'm gonna do about it. Uh, Besides freak out. Oh no! See, we did this before too. I'm not there yet. There's something I have to find. Oh, moving around.
One moment off cam for me.
What was that, Oldman? Say that again.
I will be right back.
Oh yeah, be right back. Take your time.
I have to take a Christmas tinkle.
Gross.
Yeah, gross.
There we go. I had to pick up a bunch of stuff. A flashlight. Yes, I will take a flashlight. Is this a map also? Is this a map? Yes, take the map. Yeah, so everybody, I hope that you had a joyful day. Whether I don't celebrate Christmas, but I'm still merry, and I plan on being merry. And I hope that you, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, are also merry and had a great day. While I'm scrambling around here trying to get a flying monstrosity to come in and end the game for us all, if you want to share in the chat, maybe like a really positive, if you have one, like holiday memory, if it's Christmas or if it's some other observance, just like holidays in general. I'd love to hear people's positive holiday. Turn around. Turn around. Holiday situations.
Well, I can tell you about my day in the meantime if you like.
Oh yeah, let's hear it, old man.
I went to the dog park.
Mm-hmm. I almost thought you said doctor.
That's in a few days, and that's just for physical. It's not for anything. But anyway,
Physicals are important. You went to the dog park with your dog.
I went to the dog park with my little Geordie. Data, my other dog, has an ear injury.
Oh no!
So we've had to split him, or he's living with my ex right now because he needs to heal.
And he needed a break from the other dogs.
Well, yeah, my other dog is 10 months old. He's going to take off that band. He's going to rip the bandage off as soon as I turn my back.
Yeah.
So Data needs some time to himself, and Jordy and I have been chilling though. We and this is Guinan, by the way, my cat.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Really, not much else. I've been arguing on Twitter about some people because I don't like Jojo Rabbit, but let's not even talk about that tonight.
I feel like you and I have had that conversation before. I liked past tense. I really liked Jojo Rabbit, but I don't know if I still do.
Let me send you an article, Jeremy.
Okay.
It changed my mind about it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to interrupt you because here comes Flying Monstrosity.
Flying Monstrosity.
What is that?
What is it?
Huh. Radio. What's going on with that radio?
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Flying Monstrosity.
You have a knife. You have a knife.
I have a gun. But how do I use... Uh-oh. Okay. Gun.
There's got... What? Let's... Hold on. Let's figure out the controls. Just real quick. I'm going to do my best, despite the fact that I couldn't find them before. Silent Hill controls original. How do you shoot in Silent Hill? That's what I'm going to ask an AI right now.
Ask.
We'll ask the AI. If the AI knows...
Yeah, can you get Chat GPT on this, please?
Well, I got Bing, my Mac friend.
Ooh. Yeah, we got to get the AI on this, because I couldn't figure it out last time.
Wait. It's got us. Hold on. It's square.
Okay.
Press and hold to draw a weapon. I have to assume that you can shoot the same way, right?
Well, we're about to find out. Nope. Where? Don't do it.
Draw your weapon. Draw.
I'm looking at the map. Let's look
Hold
at the
on,
map together.
The map. While you look at the map, the flying thing will wait.
No, I want to. Trigger doesn't work.
Oh my gosh! How do you shoot?
I'm dead. I seriously pushed every
No!
button. I pushed every button. Let's take a break, shall we? Tips.
Okay.
Harry will be quickly overwhelmed as surrounded by several. That was just one. Let's take a break. We got a question coming in from the website. Let's address.
You have to. Okay, wait. Once you have your weapon drawn, you can aim by using the right analog stick, and then to fire your weapon, you press the X button. So you have to do 5 steps or 7 steps.
Okay.
To draw and shoot your weapon.
Let's do another question. One just came in. We will and then we'll get back to it. Okay, here's a question that came in from the website. I'm turning the audio from the game all the way down. My partner and I have been together for over 10 years. Good for you. I have a higher libido. The regularity of sex is fine, but as time goes on, it tends to be more and more focused around her. I'm a giving person and have fun with this, but a lot of my desires that I've communicated a few times go ignored. She is receptive to ideas at the time, but forgets them by the time pants are off. How do you communicate? This is great, but I need more without sounding greedy and entitled. She is a bit sensitive about her appearance and ability, so I don't want to affect the negativity. Okay, well, first off, we acknowledge the existence of sex on the advice stream. If you're uncomfortable with conversations about sex and sexuality, you might want to, I don't know how you get through your day or your life, but that's up to you. And maybe this isn't the time to watch the show, because we're going to get into it now about sex and sexuality. And I'm, as always, chime in, old men, chime in, anyone in the audience, if you'd like to have if you'd like to contribute to this in any way. But I get and I see the challenge here. I think for a long time that sex was always about the male. I'm imagining this person is a male style person. So for a long time that sex was only about the male's pleasure and satisfaction. And the people talk about that as like the orgasm gap, right? That men always get off, women never do, and that's just how it's always been. And that's unfortunate and it's unfair. And I feel like what's happening here in this relationship is kind of the reverse of that all sexual activity has become focused on the female person's satisfaction, and the male person's satisfaction has fallen to the wayside. The big question here is, how do you have that conversation without sounding greedy or entitled? And that's the dilemma, because it's hard to imagine doing that if you're a person that is hopefully thinks of yourself as being an enlightened male person that cares about and is willing to invest in the sexual satisfaction of your female partner. There needs to be a way to do that, though, because two people, especially two people in a relationship that's been going on for over 10 years, but even people that are in much shorter or more casual relationships have to be able to openly discuss what they want and what they need sexually. It's not an easy thing to do, because I think a lot of people are kind of indoctrinated with this idea that sex should just happen and it should be easy, and doesn't need to be a lot of thinking or planning or learning that it's just a thing you do and then it's done and you move on with the rest of your life. But that's not how sex should be, even for people that are just having a casual sexual relationship, but especially for people that are in a long-term committed relationship. But there needs to be a way to have that conversation. What do you think about that, old man?
I definitely agree with you on all those points. The only thing that I would have to add is that, of course, society has this expectation that if a man can't finish, there must be something wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too, and that is
And
also an unfortunate expectation that everyone has.
right, and that might be hurting her feelings.
Yeah, well,
Wrong or right?
I don't know from the information that we have if the problem isn't. I'm not sure the problem is that he isn't finishing. It's just that there are sexual things that he would like to do that she doesn't seem to be able to get, or when he's able to communicate it, she doesn't seem to remember or doesn't seem to be committed into following through. What I would say, and this is I think the way that people should always have kind of these more challenging conversations, whether it's about sex or not, is to have this conversation outside of the context of actually having sex. This isn't a conversation you have just before or just after, or certainly not during a sexual interaction. Wait until there's a night where you can be reasonably sure that sex isn't going to happen for whatever reason, and then like be straightforward and say that I'd like to, when you have a minute, I'd like to be able to have a serious conversation about our sex lives, and then give the person the opportunity to say, tonight's not the night. I don't feel like it. I'm not up for it tonight. Make sure whenever you're having these serious conversations, make sure that everyone's well rested, that they've eaten, that you're not doing this like while you're struggling with, the delivery never showed up and now we're all starving or whatever. Like, make sure that both of your basic needs have been met, that this isn't going to happen after someone's acknowledged that they had a stressful day at work. Like, these are the things that get complicated because in the way that a lot of people's lives work, you don't necessarily have a lot of times when all of those things have been taken care of. I like to start challenging or difficult conversations with my partner or really anyone that I really care about. I always start by saying, we're on the same team. There's only one team in this house. And for one of us to thrive, both of us need to be thriving. And I need to have a conversation with you, but I need you to remember that I am on your team. I'm not coming after you. I'm not attacking you. I would never do that. Hopefully, letter writer has a history with this person where they know that they're not the type of person that's going to attack them. But you have to be able to have this conversation. That's an essential. If you're not able to have a real conversation about what your sexual needs are in a relationship that's been 10 years, but going on for 10 years, then there's bigger problems in the relationship, because you have to be able to have these conversations. That's a non-negotiable, I think, for two people that are regularly having sex.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and if that conversation has not happened yet, he needs to be mindful that there are social expectations around men and women in the bedroom, and he needs to be able to poke holes in that balloon.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, like, I don't know if it's always, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not playing this part of the game. This looks terrifying. I don't know if this is always a great strategy, but imagine if it was the other way around. And the female partner, wasn't satisfied with the sex that she was having with her male partner. And she said, I don't know how to talk to him about it. Like, everyone would be pretty disappointed with the male person for not being open to that conversation. I'm not saying you should be disappointed with your partner. I'm not saying your partner's doing anything wrong. It's just that these are the types of conversations you need to have, and you need to be creating the type of climate in your inside your relationship where you can have these conversations and feel comfortable and confident and safe that you're going to be heard. And people, especially people that I've been with my partner for about 10 years too, and people kind of get into these familiar roles, whether it's in regards to sex or whether it's regards to who does the dishes or whatever. And you really got to make sure that you're not just doing things because you've always done things that way. You need to be mindful, you need to be planful, and you need to be communicating. I'll also say, I think a lot of people, when they hear that a couple's in like relationship counseling or marriage counseling, they're like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. But sometimes when you want to have these difficult types of conversations, it's good to have an invested third party, like a mediator almost. And there are ways that you can get a couples therapist for just a week or two, just a couple of appointments, if you just need a little bit of guidance and someone to put up some framework kind of situation for you to kind of nail down these harder conversations.
Mm-hmm. But also, therapy is not a panacea. And for some people, it doesn't work. So don't feel so bad if you do try something. You should try something like that out. And if it doesn't work out, don't feel bad about it, because sometimes it just is not the right way of going. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or anything wrong with her, or even that the problem is not solvable. It's just therapists are not something that can solve every problem.
Right, and the therapist doesn't solve the problem anyways. Like the therapist just helps you figure out the type of work you need to do to solve the problem.
It's like a catalyst type of thing.
But I can't stress enough, letter writer, that this type of conversation is not you don't have an option to not have it. You have your sexuality is your own, and your sexual satisfaction is your own to express. Your partner has a role in that, but you have to be able to communicate to them what it is that you want and what it is that you need. And they need to be able to either follow through with it or to give you some space to find somebody else within the parameters of your marriage. I mean, this is what open marriages are for. That can help you get there. Those are really the options when it comes to this type of dilemma in a sexual relationship.
And it's not.
Oh, I think I lost you there, old man. You there?
In your most important relationship. It froze for a minute.
Oh, start over.
Can you hear me?
I didn't hear it all.
All I said was that it's not a bad thing, and it's not shallow to want sexual satisfaction in your primary romantic relationship.
Yeah.
It's important for most people.
It is. For most people, certainly not everyone, but for most people, this is a fundamental part of being a person that is thriving and happy and growing in the way that people should be growing throughout their entire lives.
Right. You can safely objectify one another for a small time in a safe situation, that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, there's nothing more romantic than that, I say. I'm not to harp on this one for too long, but just to go further on with what Oldman said, it's not shallow to want to be a sexually fulfilled person, and it's not greedy as long as you're also equally invested in the satisfaction of your partner.
Right. And you shouldn't just stick around because everything else is good. I'm not saying that this person should break up with their partner, obviously, but if something important is missing in that relationship and it's sex, and you're not you don't have to be completely satisfied, but you have to be satisfied enough.
Yeah, you have to be working on it at least.
Yes, and you have to be open, and you have to have that conversation.
Well, that's one way where I might disagree with you a little bit, Oldman. I mean, absolutely they have to have the conversation. But if, whatever it is that letter writer wants from their partner, if the partner says, yeah, I'm not going to do that, and you can't go and sleep with somebody else, that's not necessarily the end of
That's not the thing that you should jump to immediately, for sure.
yeah, and like people, this is a never-ending negotiation in a relationship. I mean, this is why divorce exists. Is people are constantly saying, "Well, this isn't perfect and this isn't great, but I really like this and I really like that," and then they're making decisions about what they're willing to go without to have what they want. And that's a very personal. I don't know if I'm the right person to give advice on how
We
to
don't
make
even
that
know
kind
what
of
the fetish
decision.
is, my man. We don't know what
Well, there might
exactly
not
he
even
could.
be.
It could be a diaper. It could be a foot fetish.
Yeah.
Those are the two extremes, really.
Oh, I think there's more extremes than that, but we don't need to get
I
into that.
suppose, but
I'm
my
sure
mind
we
is
can all
so
think of
innocent.
some. All right. Well, that was a great question. I think that was an important conversation to have, and I think that's something that we all need to be mindful of. Is there you don't need to tell your partner everything that happens in your internal life, but you definitely need to be able to have conversations with your partner when you feel like there's something that you need that you're not getting, and work out some way to try to do it at least. Um,
Right. Or
moving
address it in
along,
some way. Even if it means, what is this person willing to exchange in
yeah,
terms of the end of the relationship? Like, if they're going to make it a hard line, that doesn't sound right. They especially need to not do that before they have a conversation.
yeah,
But yeah, people need to think about what they can live with and what they can live without.
yeah.
And if there's something else that's even more important to you, then you need to weigh that.
So, Oldman, I have a hot take. You want to hear my hot take that's not related to this question?
Anytime.
My hot take of the day, that's the segment that I just decided we're going to do, is that the song Macho Man by the Village People is a Christmas song. And
How so?
and here's why, because I was timing it before we started. At just about a minute 30 into that song, it's a disco song, so it's long. Like actual jingle bells come in. Like it sounds like there's a one horse whatever sleigh with jingle bells on it. You don't need to do it now because we're working. But audience at home, if you'd like to take a few minutes of your own and go on whatever your preferred streaming service is, check out Macho Man by the Village People. Skip to 1 minute 30 into the song. You tell me. I'm not a Christmas song expert.
Mm.
Um, but anyways, that's my hot take. I've been obsessed with that for the last couple days because I listen to that song a lot. It's my kid's favorite song. And
Well,
boy, it
Jeremy,
sounds
I
like a
was
disco
thinking
song.
this is probably not something I should say on our stream, but I'm probably going to play some music after this. So maybe that'll be in the lineup.
You tell me. It's a good song. It's it always gives me a few spoons back. It's fun. But boy, is it Christmassy. Anyways, that's that's my
That's
totally
really funny.
stupid and silly hot take. What else do we normally talk about at this point in the show, Oldman? Do you have anything going on recently in your life or coming up? What's making you happy these days?
You asked me this yesterday when we were preparing for the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me a while to think of something. My usual the way that my mind works is that I find something to be dissatisfied with, and that's a terrible way to live. And I know that. I know that.
Uh-huh.
Even once I'm satisfied, of course, I'm going to move on to the next thing that makes me anxious, which is not uncommon, I know. But the thing that I thought of when you asked me that, well, once I'd had some time to think about it, uh, I'm really thankful that I'm growing older. Not
Okay.
old necessarily, but that I'm growing older, and that I have enough experience under my belt, and I've talked to enough people, at long length over the years about what I want and who I am. And I feel like when you grow a little bit older, you are not you. It's harder to be as hard on yourself as you were when you were young. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, I get that. Boy, when I asked you that question, I was expecting you to tell me like a TV show or something you were excited about. I wasn't expecting.
I was
it to be
going.
that deep.
I was going real deep. Well, I could do. I'll keep that in my pocket for next time. But yeah, no. Like, I mean, I've spent this Christmas alone, which is the very first Christmas I've ever spent alone.
Yeah.
And over the past few days, I have been just thinking about the ways in which maybe my beating up on myself is not correct. Maybe I had the wrong expectations.
Okay.
And
I like that idea.
Not that I don't have high expectations for myself, because I always will, but also I know when a failure is something where I'm likely to go back and come up with an excuse not to blame myself versus a time when I really don't need to. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's very important. And I mean, I'm a bit older than you. I'll say, getting older certainly beats the alternative to not getting older. But I feel like what you're describing is a type of wisdom that people get about themselves, at least. When I think a big part of and I don't remember exactly how old you are, and you don't need to say on the stream if you
36. That's okay. 36.
I feel like the first half of my 30s was about really kind of like almost like finalizing, like, this is what I'm good at, this is where I know I excel, and these are the things that I'm not good at and don't make me happy, and I'm going to be less worried about them. I feel like your 20s is about figuring out what those things are and kind of struggling with yourself about trying to get better in the ways that you don't always have an easy time in life. And then your 30s is about accepting those things about yourself and deciding to be less stressed or guilty or angry about the things that are your struggle, and more of like accepting it. And I can say, as a person that spent a lot of time in the last 10 years or so accepting like my personal struggle, that I certainly feel a lot more at peace knowing what they are and having that kind of revelation that I'm not going to fight against that anymore, if that makes sense.
It sounds like the thing I'm going through. Yep.
Yeah, like you can't min-max your stats forever. At some point, you've got to decide, I'm really good at these things, I'm going to lean in on that. I'm not so great at this, so I'm just going to spend my time doing other things.
But if we're playing under advanced Dungeons and Dragons rules, we can just keep throwing the dice till we get 18s.
Yeah, then you get one of those potions where you can just re-roll from scratch. I mean, wouldn't that be great if you could go back and say, you know what, from now on, I'm going to be really good at math.
Well, this is why I don't like time travel, Jeremy. I don't even like that thought experiment. I don't even want that in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, anyways. Well, I'm glad. I'll share a couple of things that I've been enjoying lately. One of those things is a show on Netflix called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Big Scott Pilgrim fan. I read those books, not when they were new, but not too long after they came out, and the Edgar Wright movie's really fun. This show really feels like going back to the books, and to a lesser extent the movie, in a really great way. If you like the movie, you should read those books, but also you should see the show. Animation's beautiful. It's really well made, very high production values, and it was wonderful. So that's the thing that I like. A band that I've recently been listening to a lot, that is not really new, but they're new to me, is a band called, what are they called? Amyl and the Sniffers. They're like, I think they're from Australia or New Zealand, maybe.
Amyl, and how do you spell that?
AMYL, like amyl nitrate,
I see.
Like poppers.
Yeah.
Super big energy, high energy, fast guitars, heavy drums, and it's just one of those bands that really really gets your gears running, your blood pumping, and is a super fun time if you're looking for something to kind of speed up your RPMs a little bit. Highly
Australian
recommend.
pub rock and punk rock band.
Sure, all of those things. It's kind of like they kind of remind me like if there's a female lead singer, but she's got like big 1970s Rod Stewart vibes. It's like if Rod Stewart's band was punk, is Amyl and the Sniffers.
Hmm.
Oh, Jugsy's in Australia. Nice, Jugsy. You know, here's another thing. There's another thing I'll say that I've been enjoying a lot lately is my kid who's 3 has gotten really into Bluey, and man, Bluey is so good. It's the only show she likes that I can tolerate for even a couple of minutes, and
That's sweet.
it's such a good show. We do a lot of Bluey's about a bunch of Australian dogs, and it's a mom and dad dog, and then a kid dog named Bluey, and then Bluey has a younger sister named Bingo. And almost every episode is just the kids and the dad playing some new pretend game. That's pretty much the entire show. And boy, we've played a lot of the pretend games from Bluey in this house, and have had a really good time doing it. Love Bluey. If you got kids, or even if you don't, and you just want to watch something that's really short and fun, and but kind of like pulls at your heartstrings and is sometimes emotional in a really unique way, then you should be watching Bluey. It's on Disney Plus.
I watched a little Bluey,
Yeah.
and I also saw this other thing.
Oh,
Somebody was talking about it
Jugsy's got a
today.
friend who draws for Bluey. Man, I wish I was.
What?
I wish I was part of. Also, Bluey's a really great way to learn how to improv, because the dad in Bluey is the best like improvisational. He's just so good at yes anding everything those kids do. He's always in. He's always playing along. He always keeps it moving. If you're into improv performance, which I haven't done in a long time but used to do a lot, then the dad from Bluey is a very good study for you, because he's the best improver that ever improved. Sorry, old man, I interrupt you. What were you gonna say?
No. That's I interrupted myself actually. But I saw this thing today where somebody was comparing the animation styles of Bluey to its conservative competitor,
Oh
because
yeah, I heard that
apparently
there's like a
Bluey is
right
too
wing
woke.
Bluey too.
Yeah, apparently Bluey is too woke for some people. And they were comparing just not even on an ideological level. They were comparing the animation styles,
Uh huh.
and uh, they were talking about how, like, in this right wing version, it makes the mistake that a lot of cartoons do, where the main character is saying something, and in the center of the frame, and everybody else is just looking at him, waiting for him to say the next thing. Whereas in Bluey, the animators have put more thought into it, and they seem more naturalistic when they're like sitting around a table talking to each other or something.
Yeah.
The main
Interesting.
character is not sitting in front of the table being whoop de doop de doo. As much as I like to do that personally, the whoop de doop de doo, that is not what should be done in an animated television show, apparently.
What I don't want to do a promo for it, but where is the right wing? I'm just curious.
Oh my god,
I just
let's
because
look it up.
I don't. We always talk about this. I don't want to do people should be talking about politics all the time. Politics is something, you live in a democracy, you need to be talking about politics kind of constantly. There's other avenues for people to discuss politics. I'd like to not do that here, but I just want to say I don't understand what what any person could have a problem with Bluey. I don't understand the mismatch in values. Someone watches that show and say these aren't my values. I don't understand. I want to watch the other version so maybe I can see what people find. Obviously I don't imagine I'd agree with them, but I just don't understand what people would find objectionable to Bluey. Apparently there's one episode that vaguely implies that trans men can have babies, but Disney pulled that one, and it's not on Disney Plus. So
Cowards.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if I should even say the name of it, but just because we're talking about it, I'll say its name is Chip Chilla.
Okay.
Chip
Well, I'll figure it out on my
Chilla.
own. I really would like to know. Jugsy says Paw Patrol is a cab. Yes, we
Yes, it is.
continually have that conversation in this house. Paw Patrol is on a streaming service that we don't have access to.
Thank God.
We don't have to deal with that because when our kid wants to watch and she knows all about it because Paw Patrol's everywhere, that we just tell her that Paw Patrol is not something that we have in the house, and the other kids in school, their parents might have Paw Patrol at home, but we don't. It's the same thing that sometimes we don't have strawberries, sometimes we don't have oranges. We don't have Paw Patrol, and we can't get it.
Cop shows are going to be one of those things that she watches a lot in college.
Yeah, I mean, I watched an awful lot of Law and Order in college, so.
But especially if you're saying, "Oh, we don't have Paw Patrol right now."
Yeah, she's gonna be so excited when she moves out on her own.
Yeah,
and she can get Paw Patrol.
or the equivalent.
There's a show on Disney where it's like animals that work in construction, and I feel like that's very Paw Patrol-esque. So sometimes we'll get her to watch that, and she doesn't know the difference. Let's do another question, mainly because I don't want to go back to the game just yet. So let's do another one. We've only done 2, and we've been doing this for an hour and 15 minutes already. Okay, let's try this one. This might be similar to the one we got already. I don't know. We'll try it out. I'm a male in my mid-30s and recently started dating a woman around the same age as me. We already like each other and have had pretty regular sex despite having different schedules, young kids, and living about 45 minutes apart. That must be some good sex. Oh. I've had quite a few sexual partners in the past and have done a lot of exploration and have found certain kinks that I like. I get the sense from her that this isn't the case for her, but also that she's open to exploring. However, we were sexting one night, and I said vaguely that I wanted to do something to/with her. Initially, she said okay, but then put the stipulation that it had to be something that I've never done with someone before. I told her a little about my past sexual endeavors and how that stipulation would limit what I could do and could possibly lead our sex life to being vanilla. None of that explanation seemed to necessarily bother her. We're both really comfortable with each other and like each other a lot, but I like to mix things up in the bedroom and don't feel like I particularly can right now. How should I approach her about it? Or am I just being impatient and should wait for the relationship to develop a little more? Jugsy says that they're not going to lie. They're invested in figuring out the gun. We'll do this one, Jugsy, and we'll get back to the game, I promise.
We will.
This is in some ways similar because they say, what's the word that they say? I get this sense from her. So like they're not talking about it in a clear way. He's making guesses about what her experience is. Where this is different is I feel like this is a way bigger red flag. Because why does she feel like she needs to control this part of himself is kind of alarming to me in this case.
I could see that. And I'm kind of wondering how that conversation went because that is a big bomb to drop on somebody. It sounds like he didn't really quite understand that saying you do not satisfy me in this way that I need is as big a deal as it is in reality.
I'm not even sure he said that. I think they were sexting and he said, "Hey, I want to do this with you." And she's like, "You can't do anything with me that you've done with another person before." And
that's not going to lead anywhere good.
Yeah. And like, I just imagine his conversation being like, "Hey, listen, lady, there ain't much I ain't done with somebody else before." So
that's not, well, you're the one who read it to me and I have never heard this question before. And I'm very sorry to like continue with my baseless speculation, but it sounds to me like that conversation did not go well.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me also as if like I'm not putting blame on either party, but she sent up a flag that said this is a radioactive topic for us. And he went on to tell her about how like, oh well, I did this with her and this with her. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I don't I don't know. It doesn't feel like excuse me. It doesn't feel like they've really had a conversation about it, and I think that's where it
Yeah.
needs to start.
Not a serious one. Not one
And
that's not in the midst of a lot of feelings.
and if she's going to be like I only will do things with you that you've never done with anybody else, then maybe that's a reason to not be with this person anymore.
But it could also just be a way of asking him, what have you done with anybody else? And that matters to her.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't necessarily have to have the first level text. Of course, we have to assume that these people are being honest. But the second level subtext there might be, tell me what's going on. Like
Yeah.
what have you done?
Yeah, I agree with that. Or just, just like why do you have this hang up about my past stuff? I just figured out why games back then worked this way. There's no camera. I can't rotate the camera.
Right.
So that's why the direction that I have, the direction I push is not relative to me, it's relative to the character.
I know, it's the same in Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that's because rendering this room in 3D is probably more than what the console can do.
Yeah.
Like the room doesn't exist software-wise. It doesn't exist in the code. And
they got better at it.
Yeah.
They got better at it later on in PS1, and there were a lot of games where it functions the way that we are normally used to. But in the beginning, like with Tomb Raider and I guess Silent Hill 1, it works exactly as you're saying.
Yeah. The reason that occurred to me is, like I said, I never had a PlayStation. I don't know a whole lot about the PlayStation, but I know a lot about the Nintendo 64, which was contemporary to the PlayStation 1. Mm-hmm. And the Nintendo was insistent on using cartridges instead of discs. So the games for the 64 actually can store way less data than they can for the PlayStation. And when you play a game like Mario 64, where you can control the camera to an extent, there are times where the camera just stops responding because it doesn't actually have the space rendered in 3D around you. It's tricking you into thinking that you do, but there's always a direction or a position you can move the camera into, or where you might want to move the camera into where it doesn't work, because it's a trick. It's not actually in full 3D. Just the hardware wasn't capable of doing it. Okay, right. Here we go again. So wait, draw the gun.
Let's get it done in the restaurant if you can.
So Square isn't letting me draw the gun here.
Oh my gosh.
What if I go back into here and select the gun and equip and exit? Now I have the gun. Now what did we say?
It's like 5 steps.
Hey, Hickman834, I noticed you chatted there a little ways ago. Try holding R2 to draw and press X to shoot. Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, I need the sound up. All right. Hickman834 saves the day. Now I have the gun. What did we say? Wait a minute. I'm hearing my own audio from some previous time.
Me too.
Well, for some reason, YouTube unmuted itself. Weird. Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna open the door.
All right. Let's do this for Jugsy.
Flying
this is for Jugsy.
Monstrosity comes in. This is for you, Jugsy.
What's that?
Huh. The radio.
What's going on with that radio?
Oh god. Oh boy. Okay. R2.
Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it! Yeah!
Even?
Yeah, you are. I mean, it
No.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
Hey! We did it!
What's happening to this place?
This is not a dream. Can I eat it to gain health back? I think I have pills or something like healing stuff.
That's what you do when you want to heal yourself in real life. Is you just take a fistful of pills.
Yeah, or you drink a health drink.
Give me the old Jeremy special. That's what Jugsy said.
Which is, I can tell you, there could be a lot of potential things that could be called the Jeremy special, but shooting someone has never been one of them.
No, they're much more loving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jugsy says, I eat 7 wheels of cheese and a cabbage when I'm injured.
Well, the good news is that's going to make it so nobody wants to mess with you anymore.
You definitely need that cabbage for the next day when it's coming out.
I like a good cabbage. I enjoy cabbage.
Fiber.
Okay, so wait. Can I reload? How many bullets do I even have?
I guess. Okay.
I can tell you though, everyone, just to let everybody know, next week, I ain't playing this game again.
Let's figure out something that's a little bit more conducive to the stream format. Maybe.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is a really good question. Jugsy just asked. Jugsy says, I don't enjoy kimchi, but I wish I did. Advice? Here's the deal with there being food that you don't like kimchi. You just eat it a lot, and you'll like it. I've done that with all kinds of food. I was a really picky kid, and then at a later stage in my life, I decided I really didn't want to be picky. And ate all the stuff that I used to think I didn't like, and some of it I still didn't like when I started eating, but eventually I got into it. I did that with olives because I wanted to drink martinis with lots of olives in them, and now I love olives. Kimchi is an acquired taste. I'd imagine most people that eat it for the first time don't love it unless, you know, you've grown up eating lots of other like sauerkraut or other types of like fermented rotten cabbage dishes. Yeah, that's what you got to do. Just keep eating it, and eventually you'll like it. Make sure that you get good. You know, I'm sure there's good kimchi and there's bad kimchi out there. The jarred kimchi that you can buy at Whole Foods is really good.
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
But go on.
I'm also not a kimchi expert, I should say.
I'm not either.
But the problem with it is it's so fermented that when you open it, it kind of like explodes a little bit, like you shook up a can of soda. And you know, kimchi is one of those things that smells really, really bad and very different than how it tastes. Amir says kimchi is definitely acquired taste. It's best eaten with something else like fried rice or noodles. Yep. So maybe you should experiment with different companions. That's real good advice.
With fried rice, especially if you prepare it with some fried rice, that will help a lot. I dated a half Korean girl in college, and her mom always made us kimchi. So that was my first experience with it, and I didn't like it either at first.
Yeah.
As far as like the mass-produced stuff goes, like Jeremy's talking about, it'll be good if that's what you're craving. If you're craving some kimchi, go down to Whole Foods and pick up one of those jars. But otherwise, like if you're planning in advance, you might want to see if there's some producers around you, some small producers. I know that in Jeremy and my area, in like the Washington D.C. area, there's a place called Second Sons. that does some really, really good kimchi. But the stuff that's been in the grocery store for a while, like kimchi is a living product. Um, and so yeah, you might want to seek out something other than like what's found in the grocery store, like
Yeah,
farmers markets type stuff.
absolutely agree with that, especially if you're trying to acquire that taste. Starting with the better quality version of that thing
Yeah.
is always great. I one of the very few things that I generally don't like to eat at this point in my life is blue cheese. And if I get like if I'll still eat it every once in a while because I don't want to not like it. I don't like not liking things. So I'll try to eat it every once in a while. I never care for it unless I go to really like higher end restaurant and they give you like really good like gorgonzola. That I like very much. And it's not totally different than cheaper blue cheese, but it's different enough that I can enjoy that like on a cracker, maybe with a little bit of honey on it. I'd eat that all day long. But like the blue cheese you get on like Cobb salad at TGI Fridays or whatever, I can't get close to that.
But we don't go to TGI Fridays much anymore these days.
I mean, you and I
Do
don't
we?
go together very much
We've
anymore.
never gone, in fact. So maybe that's something we should do.
I
But
was gonna say I live out in the suburbs these days, and I got a little kid. I don't go to TGI Fridays a lot, but I go from time to time. When I lived in DC, there was a place that we would get delivery, a Korean restaurant. It was called uh, Chachunk or something like that, and they had these kimchi dumplings that I could eat 1,000 of them in one sitting and not blink an eye. They were so good.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, with if there's something that you don't like but you want to like, just eat it. Just power through, and eventually you'll learn to appreciate it. But getting good quality version of that thing is a good idea. Um, I feel like the jar, at least that I bought at Whole Foods, is very much alive because it explodes when you open it.
Yes, it's still alive. It's still alive. But I know just from my own experience of like trying to find it after I broke up with this girl
That
that
version of Whole Foods isn't great.
it's not the best. It'll do you if you need it, if
Yeah.
you have the craving, but otherwise, yeah, try to find a local producer.
My parents every once in a while will make pickled salmon in their refrigerator, and they just have this big Tupperware container. It's actually, I think it's glass. It's very old, and they put big cubes of salmon in it with water and sugar and pickling spices and some kind of active whatever microbes or whatever, and then they just park it in the back of the refrigerator for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I love it. They don't make it very often because it's it takes a lot of time, but when they do make it, it's always a big deal in my family.
Is
And
that a personal recipe for them, or is that like a thing?
uh I'm I'm sure it's like everything that my parents make, that it's some recipe that's been in the family for a million years. I actually don't know the answer to that.
I made a sauerbraten a couple weeks ago for my dad, and it sounds like a very similar process.
Yeah. I mean, people say ferment, but what they really mean is it's a controlled rotting process. You're letting it go bad, but in a controlled, deliberate way.
Hmm.
And what comes out on the other end, whether it's pickles or kimchi or sauerkraut or whatever, is magical. But my partner who I'm married to was the first person I ever brought home to my parents' house that tried this pickled fish, and not only she really liked it, and it's exciting for both of us now when my parents make it. I should figure out how they make it because I can make it too. But she was the first person I ever brought home that tasted it and said anything except this is the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten in my entire life. That's
Why
I
don't you
think.
bring me home? Bring me home.
All right,
That
I'll
sounds
bring
good
you
to
home.
me.
Yeah. Uh, but it's they had it last time we were down there just a few weeks ago, and it was wonderful. But that kind of like fermented or pickled flavor is whatever it is that you've let rot slowly in your refrigerator is definitely an acquired experience. And if you
I'm
grow
actually
up with
getting
it, it's
some
easier.
of my grandma's recipes pretty soon, and so I'm sure I'm going to be making more pickled stuff.
Yeah, good. Pickling is fun and is a good way to just have a little weird science experiment in your house. You got to watch out for botulism, but you take some reasonable safety precautions and you're good to go. I made pickled hard boiled eggs once, and they
Oh,
didn't
that
kill
sounds good.
anyone, but they were not good. They didn't taste good, but they weren't poison either.
Devil them.
Yeah, deviled eggs are great. Eggs is another one of those things that smells like a fart, but boy, do they taste good. Okay, let's before we move too much further on, let me save because I don't want to deal with that again.
No.
The save, I believe, is over here. And then we'll do another question because I got more. Memory card is not inserted. It's right there. Oh, on slot 2. Okay. Okay, let's get to another question. Jugsy also says, I always get it as a side, and in Korean places, and yeah, I'm trying to eat it by itself. That's probably where I'm going wrong. So one of the things I love about Korean food is you get all these little bowls of all kinds of interesting things, and if you didn't grow up in that culture, that it's always something unusual and exciting. Having something put in front of you in a restaurant that you've never seen or tried before is a fun and unique experience. And it's been too long since I've been able to do that.
And again, I would say unless it's high quality stuff that you've gotten from a local producer, eating it alone, you're not getting the real kimchi experience.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, another question. This one is one of those questions where it's going to take me a minute or so to read it, and I think it's going to take all of us 30 seconds to have the answer for this. I broke up with John because our lives were incompatible. He wanted kids and I didn't. We broke up with no hard feelings, and he ended up getting married to Sue, a mutual friend of ours. We all drifted apart. I traveled and worked overseas while John and Sue settled down and had a son together. John recently reconnected with me over social media. He confessed his marriage was a sham. He wanted to leave but couldn't because of his son, and never had it so good as when we were together. He wanted to meet up and relive our good times together. I messaged John that wasn't a good idea, and he needed to turn inward to find the solution to his unhappiness, whether it was marriage counseling or a divorce. I would have just left it at that. My dilemma is that on social media, Sue and John announced that they were trying for another baby. Well, that's such a weird thing to put on social media. After Sue's last miscarriage. The miscarriage was right around the time that John was messaging me. I was never close to Sue, but I would definitely want to know if my partner was trying to cheat on me while I was going through a medical crisis. I certainly wouldn't want to leave someone in the lurch with a kindergartner and a baby while their partner played around, but I am also leery of getting shot as the messenger here. What should I do? Make an anonymous post to Sue's social media that she needs to check on John because he's trying to cheat on her? Tell Sue directly? I haven't told any of our friends because I don't want the story to get out without me wanting it.
What's your 30-second opinion?
These people aren't even her friends anymore. She doesn't need to do anything. Don't get involved. Don't make these people's problems your problem.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I've you've never been split up from somebody you married. I have. And so maybe I won't say that I can relate to what this guy's doing because I never did anything like that. But I can certainly relate to the feeling of being trapped somewhere where you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And again, that is not something that is her responsibility. She needs to leave it. And perhaps if something else happens in the future, she can be there for somebody. I mean, she's not even. She said she's not even close to his wife. So
No, she's not even close to him. She said they drifted apart.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
sounds like he is trying to relive some regrets in his past and is idealizing them and needs to not do that on his part. But as for advice for her, I think you're right. It's something to leave between them, and I also understand the desire to want to prevent some hurt for somebody else, and to take action to do that. But this is not the right circumstance, at least not at this moment, based on what we know.
If it was family, if someone was family, if it was like a really close, like inner circle of friends or something, then maybe. But I would say only even maybe get involved with that. I think she barely knows these people. I mean, it doesn't say how long ago they split up, but it's been long enough that the way that she's writing this, it seems like she's had like a big chunk of her life without him, and you don't need to get pulled into this situation.
No.
You know, if she wants to unfriend him so he can't send her messages anymore, if she wants to block him, I think that's fine. I also want to say, in general, posting on social media that you're trying to have another baby after your miscarriage, I don't want to get involved in any way with people that do that. That's way too much information to put. Who posts on social media that they're trying to have another baby?
Listen,
Like,
Mom and Dad, we're raw dogging it. We're raw dogging it again.
That's pretty much what they're telling everyone, and that's wildly, I think, inappropriate and breaking a million boundaries that everyone, that people should have about what types of information they share.
Thank God I have a meme page where I can hide my name behind it.
Yeah, Jugsy says, yeah, I hear the same. Yeah, don't, I mean, even if I was close to someone and I knew that they were having some kind of problem, if they posted something like that, I would just be like, no, you guys are on your own. I'm not getting involved with any of this situation. That's so weird.
It's an honorable impulse to want to prevent hurt for somebody else, like she says she wants to. But she's going to get involved in something that is going to be way, way bigger and out of control if she decides to do it. And it's best for those two people to work it out between themselves.
Jugsy posted something that got blocked by the auto mod, but I'm gonna allow it, but I'm not gonna say it out loud. But it's pretty funny. So there you go, everybody.
Nah.
That's just such a weird. You know, I don't do a lot of social media anymore. He said as he live streamed on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, but I don't spend a lot of time on social media. I'm starting to kind of goof around on Threads a little bit because I miss having an outlet for my jokes. But the level of investment, the level of involvement people have where they're posting, we're just dumping loads right in her these days, everybody, just so that you know, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Please don't do that, anybody. Okay, well, we're running a little short on time here. Do we talk about this, Oldman? You listening to anything good these days?
Yeah, recently I discovered this Icelandic guy named Daddy Freyr, who was involved. I don't know how to say it. There's some Icelandic characters in there that are confusing to me.
Yeah, you probably can't. Your mouth probably doesn't even have the features
probably
to make
not
those sounds.
No, I don't have the second tongue like they do.
Yeah.
But he was in Eurovision in like 2020, or right as COVID was happening, and they canceled Eurovision. But this guy would have won. His music videos are so adorable. And one of my friends gave the best description of what his music sounds like, and it's oh my gosh, No, I'm forgetting the comparison.
I'm
No,
looking
no,
him
no,
up
no.
right now. How do you spell it?
Dadifreyr.
He looks very
Bruno
Icelandic.
Mars. He is the Icelandic Bruno Mars.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That is quite a statement.
I love his stuff, and I
I'll
like
check it
really
out.
cheesy pop music too. In general, like
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
fan of cheesy pop music, but it can't be popular pop music because I'm still a bit of a hipster from my old days. It has to be somebody from Iceland.
It has to be somebody from Iceland. Did you ever get into Bjork at all? Has Bjork ever been a thing for you?
Interesting question, because there has been a bit of debate about Bjork on Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter.
Okay. Yes.
And one of her songs that is about going through some really intense emotions of anger. And there's this track where she's screaming, yelling on one of the tracks. And so somebody who's a Taylor Swift fan was like, "This is music. This is what you think is music." And I listened to it, and before, in my past, I have had friends who are huge Bjork fans.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would always listen to it, and I'd feel the same way. I'm like, this is some noise. But this time when I listened to the track, I was like, wow, that's actually emotions. Those
Yeah.
are real emotions. That's what it feels like. And so I feel like I might be more into Bjork in the future. Why do you ask?
Just thinking of Icelandic musicians.
Oh yeah.
I feel the same way about Bjork that I feel about the TV show Twin Peaks. Is that so many people, every woman I've ever loved Twin Peaks, and I can't get into it. And I've come to the decision that I've never really been able to get into Bjork either, but that's my fault. And I feel the same
Yeah.
thing about Twin Peaks, is whatever everybody else sees in that I don't think it's not good. I don't think it's not brilliant. I just don't I can't see how it is. That my perception is too limited or something. And that's cool. I used to stress out. I used to really want to like Twin Peaks just because so many people that have been important to me have found that show to be a big deal. But it's not going to happen for me, and that's cool. You don't
Well,
gotta like everything everybody else likes.
Mersey Dotes and Dozy Dotes and Little Lambsy Davy, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? And if the words sound queer and funny to your ear, a little bit jumbled and jivey, sing mares eat oats, and does eat oats, and little lambs eat ivy.
Okay, that was nice. What is that, Lewis Carroll or something?
It's a song that one of the characters sings in the show.
Oh, it sounds like Jabberwocky or something. Also another thing that
Yes,
I'm like, I don't get this.
it does.
I understand that everyone else thinks,
Well,
or lots of people think it's cool, but I don't.
Lewis Carroll was a shitty dude who wrote good stories.
I've heard that too. Okay, well that was lovely. That was lovely, old man, and well performed. I really appreciate it. That has not sold me anymore on Twin Peaks.
Of course not.
But I've come, and as I've gotten older, I've come to peace with the fact that I'll never get Twin Peaks, and that's okay. I like some of David Lynch's other stuff. I really, and this is another hot take. I really, really like David Lynch's Dune. I think that movie's a mess, but it's a mess on purpose.
Yeah,
and I think it's a blast and has a great soundtrack and is just so weird and beautiful, but then ugly at the same time.
Didn't he take his name off of it because of all the edits?
So the theatrical version, his name is on.
Okay.
They made an extended version, I think, for TV that is Alan Smithy. He took his name off the extended version, which is crazy because usually, I mean, that's so. I feel like that's right. That's typical David Lynch. Is normally the theatrical version is the version the director's not happy with, but he wants the shorter version is the one the director doesn't like because he feels like they cut something out. But David Lynch's preferred version, the one that his name is on, is the shorter version. The version that was extended for TV has more explanation about what's going on and how the world works, and he didn't like that. So I've seen them both many times, and I don't honestly know which one I like better or not. But
I could say a lot of things.
Amir says, I've just never been able to get into anything by David Lynch. Some stuff I've had a hard time processing, but Dune at least is such a beautiful, glorious disaster.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing about Twin Peaks?
Oh yeah, of course, please.
So you know that David Duchovny portrayed a trans character in that?
No, I did not know that.
Yes. And, it's early 90s, so there's a little bit of jokiness about it. But as far as trans portrayal goes in the early 90s, a lot of people feel like that is one of the best ones. And I would, a lot of people. I'm just stating my own opinion, really. But yeah, it's really, really good. And I did like David Lynch's stuff beforehand. But then when I heard one of his recent statements, not recent, but a couple of years ago, somebody asked him about trans issues. And what he said was, fix your heart or die. And I think that is the right response.
Or like someone was being critical. Someone was being...
Yeah, like, what do you think about transphobes?
Yeah,
or something like that. And he said, fix your heart or die, which is, it's one of the best responses I've heard from a celebrity about that.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't know him as a person. I don't know an awful lot about him as a person. And I can't help but respect people that make big swings with their art, even if to me those swings don't land, don't connect. At least he tried to do something real weird. And I mean, the fact that Twin Peaks was on like broadcast, like network TV, and it ran for a little while is pretty impressive. that became a thing that was part of our popular culture at a time when the breadth of popular culture by necessity had to be pretty narrow.
ABC, and it premiered on April 8th, 1990. So yeah.
Oh, see, in my mind it was earlier than that, 1990. Interesting. All right, well, I think that it's about time to start wrapping it up. This has been the advice stream. We played maybe 5 minutes of Silent Hill. Next week, we'll play something else on a different system. I don't know what. Maybe we'll play some TurboGrafx 16 games. I don't know what we'll do. We'll figure it out.
Let's talk about what things... You and I should have this conversation off air, obviously, but let's talk about some things that might be more stream-oriented.
Okay. I like that idea. Like, like games where you're like... that kind of go consistently, like you're building something or something. We could play like SimCity, maybe.
I was playing SimCity 2000 Special Edition for Windows, which is the ultimate edition of SimCity 2000 and the one I played as a kid. So I could give you lots of advice on that one.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a good point. Maybe we'll play... To keep on theme, though... Goodness, I'm getting congested. To keep on theme, it's got to be... an older game, but we'll figure out something. I mean, SimCity 2000 was an old game. But this has been, goodness, I am losing my voice right on time. This has been the advice stream. I'm your host, Jeremy International. We've been live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. I was joined today, as I have been for quite a while. Where's my voice going? By Oldman. Thanks for joining us, Oldman. Thanks for contributing, everybody. If you would like to seek advice from us on the advice stream, please head on over to JeremyInternational.com. There's a contact form you can use there. I read those questions out anonymously. There's also the ability for you to leave tips there if you want to. No pressure if you don't. Feel free to put in comments or anything else you like, because we love to hear from you. Thanks for playing along, everybody. And have a great day. Merry Christmas for people that do Christmas. And we will see you next week.
Yes. Have a great week, Amir, and everybody else.